I feel like every time that I make a video, I'm drinking something. Off topic, hydration is very important. So, just in general, your body needs hydration to function. We are, mostly comprised of water. Most of you know this. A lot of your issues, a lot of your problems, they stem from you being dehydrated. So you got to stay hydrated. Now, if you're exercising, if you're in a fitness capacity, if you're taking supplements, any of that kind of stuff, you definitely want to stay hydrated because you want to make sure that you're always keeping your kidneys clean and clear. And the best way to do that is to flush them and bathe them in water or electrolytes. This is a electrolyte solution. I drink a lot of these. The only issue with these is that you have to watch and they have a lot of sugar in them. But I'm heading to the gym and I need it anyway. So today I want to talk about keeping a professional distance. Keeping a professional distance from your clients is very important. But also keeping a professional distance from your coworkers. Now, I experienced a situation this week. Give me a second. That brings this into the light. And it's something that I've always been aware of, something that I've dealt with in the past in different business situations and relationships. However, in every aspect of life, we get complacent, right? You can go through a breakup in a relationship and you think to yourself like, okay, I can see the red flag. I can see where this relationship went left. And when I get into my next relationship, I'm going to make sure that I don't go through that or deal with that, right? However, the longer your relationship goes without you having any problems or any sort of issues, the more complacent, the more comfortable you become, and then you stop thinking about those kind of things. It's no different than realizing that you have to have a professional distance from the people that you work for, the people that you work around, and the people that you work with. Now, I want to say this right off the bat. The reason why you have to have a professional distance, I'm going to cut right to the chase, is because everybody in every aspect of business and every aspect of relationship, for the most part, I'm making a very broad generalization. There's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be people that don't fall into this category, and we'll talk about that further in this video. The vast majority of people do fall into what I'm about to say. Everyone is self-serving. What do I mean by that? The company that you work for, they are looking out for the bottom line and the best interest for that company. Your supervisor, he is looking out for the best possible situation for himself, potential improvement in his situation, or just in most circumstances, just being able to maintain the position that he has, right? The people that you're working around, they want to make sure that they maintain their status quo and potentially put themselves in a position or a situation where they can advance. What are you doing? You individually, when I say that, I mean myself and everybody else individually. We're trying to maintain, make sure that we can pay our bills, potentially put ourselves in a better situation as well. So everybody in every aspect of the relationship around the situations that we work in as private security guards, working for companies and working for clients, we're all thinking about our own best interests. This is where this comes into play. So the conversation around what makes policing and private security function at the highest level, we talk about it being community policing. What is the key to mitigating or stopping officer-involved shootings? We always say it's community policing. Put the people that are from that community around that community. Have them working with people in the same location, the same situation, the same circumstances, so that they can get to know those people. And then when they're policing those people, they have a better relationship. And we talk about that being important in private security as well. Hang on. That the best way to curtail shoplifting in a retail environment is to have a private security guard work in that location so that they're able to know the people that are coming in, know the people that are there, understand what to look out for, right? In every capacity of private security, we want people to build those relationships. We talk about rapport being the base of any good security company's level of service. All of that is true, but you have to make sure that you always maintain a professional distance between the clients and between the company and even between the people that you're working for. Because if what I said is true, that everyone is self-serving, if what I said is true, that everyone is looking out for their own best interest, if what I said is true, is that at the end of the day, everybody's making sure that their situation works out best for them, then ultimately, on a long enough timeline, something is going to happen where they're going to throw the private security guard under the bus. We talk about that all the time, that you're always going to be wrong. No matter what you do, no matter what action you take, no matter what action you don't take, you're going to be wrong. So here's my situation from this past week. We are currently offering services to a location that is going through a strike. So while this location or this company is going through a strike, our job as security, it really hasn't changed, right? So the employees are on strike. The employees are outside of the facility. The employees are, advocating for higher wages. They're advocating for better work situations, the normal thing that people strike about. Now, while this is happening, private security's role has not changed. We're still protecting the interior. We're making sure that if anyone has any sort of interaction with those who were striking, that there's no sort of, nefarious activities or any sort of issues or problems. We're not involved. We don't have anything to do with their labor dispute. We don't have anything to do with whatever their issue is with the company that they work for. We're simply there. Now, that being said, working in that capacity, for me personally, I've been at this location for the past 4 years. I have adopted, I advocate for, and I highly believe in the community policing model. I have often come on here and told you guys that one of the things that I pride myself on is having a relationship with the people that work there, with the clients, with the customers, even with the people that come in to do bad things. I've created that rapport and how important that is to me. The truth of the matter is, though, is that there are certain people who work within the location that I work at where I have allowed myself to become what I would consider associates with or friends with. And that's where the problem comes in, okay? So as everyone is striking over this past weekend and people are standing outside, there is a mentality that people can kind of lean into when they're in a mob, and it's called what? Mob mentality. This has been studied. This has been well documented over the decades and the years, that when people are put into a situation where there's groupthink, where there's a shared, grievance or issue or problem, that people that wouldn't normally, let's just say, break bad, tend to break bad when they're put in that situation. A great study, if you guys have never heard about this, is called the Stanford experiment. At Stanford University, I believe in the late 60s or the early 70s, they took a group of college kids and they said, we're going to have you guys do this simulation for like a week. We're going to have 10 of you, give or take, 10 of you be prison guards. We're going to have 10 of you be prisoners. And we just want to see like how people interact in these positions. When they gave the people who were working as the prison guards full autonomy to do whatever they wanted, within a short amount of time, they started abusing the prisoners. And that's just going to show you the mentality of the human spirit. When you give them a position, or you put them in a position where no one is watching or people are not holding them accountable for their actions, they tend to go to like the deepest, darkest, depraved, aspect of human society. That's kind of what we saw with these people who were striking. People who are normally very cordial, people who are normally very respectful, people who are normally pretty shy, pretty sane, pretty quiet, when they were put in a position where they were on the picket line and they were given this autonomy to just yell and scream and say whatever, people that normally would have never, in my opinion, would have never said anything derogatory, negative, explicit, demeaning, toxic, rude, mean, any of that kind of stuff, we saw some real vitriol. Me personally, I saw some real vitriol. And it put me in a position where I was kind of taken aback, because a lot of the people that were projecting their anger and their displeasure with the company that they work for, I was kind of shocked at the level of what people were saying and what they were doing and the actions that they were taking. But never in a million years would I have thought that that would have been directed to the security guys who were there, and definitely not to me, right? So there were things that were said to me, and again, we're in a proximity situation. We're not involved in anything that they're doing. We're just standing there, like literally. We're not keeping anyone from doing anything. We're not giving any sort of directives. We're not interacting or doing anything to stop their protest or stop their strike movement. We're just standing there. So the security guys are catching strays in terms of like the comments, the vitriol, and the things that people are saying. Now, some people might say, hey, that's just par for the course for a strike. If people are striking, you know, they're going to be upset. So if they're upset, it's not unlikely that they would project some of that towards the security people. I can see that in a bubble, but if you've been working with people for 4 years, 5 years, if you have relationships with people outside of the work environment, like if you know people outside of the work environment, you have relationships or friendships with people, you would think that that wouldn't be the case. But that was me not recognizing the one thing that I knew coming in. When I first started working in private security, I'm coming into this after just having gone through business issues where I owned my own business. I was in a business environment, business situation, small business situation, where I had gone into business with a very close personal friend. There was not a good separation of friendship and business, and ultimately it led to that business falling through and me and that person not having a friendship. So when I came to Portland and started working in the security field, one of the things that I tried to really keep in mind was that there needed to be a separation between personal relationship, business relationship, that whenever I would get into an environment or a situation where I'm working, I wanted there to be a decent gap between any sort of outside relationship and what I'm doing in that business. But the dichotomy is that when you're working in security or you're working in policing, when you're working with the public, it's almost impossible to provide the level of service that we need to provide to be able to, it's almost like having a relationship with your clients or having a rapport with your clients is needed in order to get the security guards or the police over the hump of not caring, right? The reason why security guards at most locations don't show up for work, call off for work, call out, no call, no show, is because they don't have any connection to that location. It's just a job to them, right? They don't feel a need to be a protective force, to be a intermediary between the negative things that happen and the people that work there. Short of that relationship, then people don't really give a shit. But at the same time, again, I'm kind of starting to ramble here, but short of that relationship, I think that that's where we have problems and people don't really give of themselves in security. But I don't know. Let me see what kind of comments we got here before I get through this. Hang on. PBE says, yo, what's up? What is up, Pennsylvania Bear Eater? All right, you said get the Gatorade Zero. I don't like the Gatorade Zero. Gatorade has a water that has electrolytes in it. The reason why I drink these before I go work out is because I'm pre-diabetic. So the only thing that I eat before I exercise is 2 pieces of toast. If I go and exercise at the level that I'm going to today, if I don't have enough sugar in my system, I will have like a diabetic crash. So I drink these before I work out, and then it's all water with electrolytes afterwards that are Pedialyte. Let me see here. Let me delete this guy real quick. That guy is blocked. Okay. Okay. Father says, you're a Portland guy like me. Yeah, absolutely. Chris says mob stupidity. Absolutely. You said someone did a really good video on the Stanford experiment. Yeah, I really suggest people look into the Stanford experiment and on mob mentality. Absolutely. Whoever is in that is a mod, PBE, I know that you're a mod, and I know that Jack Spade Production is a mod. So if I have any of my mods in here and you see people dropping racist stuff, make sure you get them out. PBE says, I was a diabetic after my surgery. Strict diet, no diabetes, it's gone. Yeah, I am pre-diabetic. I haven't been tested since I started working out and exercising. I would assume that I've made great strides in terms of getting that under control, but I haven't been tested yet. I'm gonna go in probably at the end of September and get my numbers and everything ran, see where I'm at. So let's get back to the topic. Keeping a professional distance. I was just kind of shocked at some of the things that were said, the way that people were acting, some of the things that were kind of levied my direction by people that I thought that I was cool with. And I think that the important thing to remember, two things. Number one, maintaining a professional distance between people that you work around, for, or with, very important, so that you don't take any of that kind of stuff personal. I don't take anything that a crackhead says to me personal. I don't take anything that a homeless person who lives and shits in the street says to me. I don't take any of that stuff personal. I take it extremely personal when people that I make an effort to help, to look after, to take care of, if they say something negative to me that's unwarranted, I take that extremely personal. That's something that I have to deal with. I have to work on. That's a me problem, not a them problem. The point in making this video is to reiterate that that will always be the case. That will always be the case. Your wife, my beautiful wife, who I love and care about, who is the core of my soul. If we were to break up today, she would talk shit about me tomorrow. All the things that I've done for her, all the things that I have helped her with, the life-changing experience that I've provided for her, that she's provided for me, if we were to break up, more than likely, she would have very little good things to say about me. That's just human nature, right? So keeping that in mind as you're dealing with people, as you're helping people, as you're looking after people, you do that not because you have a relationship with those people. You do that because that's the job. I was thinking to myself, how do police officers, I do a podcast with retired police officers where they talk to people, where they talk to law enforcement officers who were involved in officer-involved shootings. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot of times when I'm around these guys, I want to ask them, and sometimes I do, I say, how do you work in a job where the vast majority of people that need your help on a daily basis, they hate you? How do you get up and put your boots on? How do you get up and put a vest on, knowing that you might get shot, knowing that you might have to take someone's life, and that the people that you're doing that in protection of 99.9% of the time throughout the course of their day couldn't care about you or your life one bit? How do you motivate yourself to do that? How do you articulate to your family, I might not come home today because I'm going out to protect people that fucking hate who I am? And I guess the answer is that you're not doing it for that individual person. You're not doing it for the people because they cheer you, because they care about you, because they like you. You're doing it because it's a job that has to get done. And when you're a sheepdog, you don't care if the sheep appreciate you. You don't care if the sheep care about you. You don't care if the sheep like you. Your job is only there to protect them from that fucking wolf. And that wolf is out there, whether they are aware of it or not, whether they accept it or not, whether they appreciate the fact that someone is watching out for that wolf or not. Somebody has to do it. So whether you're a cop or whether you're a security guard, let's be real. If you're a father, right? A lot of situations where you do the right thing, and the people that you're doing the right thing in reality, the people that you're doing the right thing for, they don't appreciate it. But you're not doing it for the appreciation. You're doing it because it has to be done. And in truth, that's what being a man is, right? We do a lot of shit as men with no fanfare, with no appreciation, with no thank you. But at the end of the day, it's got to get done. The bills have got to get paid. The house has got to be protected. The family's got to be looked after. And if we don't get the pat on the back, then so be it. That's not what we're here for. We're here to do it because it's got to be done. But I wanted to talk about that. Never let that little seed of truth, do not ignore that or not let that be a part of your reality. The people that you work with, the people that you work for, the people that you work under, all of them are self-serving. They're only doing what is best for them. Do your job, set yourself up to get as much out of your situations and circumstances as possible, but never forget that these people are not your friends. Given the first opportunity, they will tell you exactly how they feel about you. And despite what you've done for them, despite how much effort you put out for them, 9 times out of 10, their view of you and their view of your service is not the same as your view of yourself and your view of your service to them. So which one do you believe? Do you believe their view of you or your view of you? You have to know your worth. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you bring to the table. And you can never allow yourself to misunderstand your position in the relationship hierarchy of all of the things that we've talked about today. Okay? Let me check these comments and then I got to get to the gym. Henry Ross, in dispensaries, the security and staff are close, no separation between us. Okay. See how that works out on a long enough timeline. Jake Judson says that's how it should be. Absolutely. He says nobody's perfect and they're like Jesus. Father Unreal says, oh yeah, off topic. Don't they officially recriminalize drugs today? What are your thoughts on that? So for those of you who don't know, here in Portland in 2020, they decriminalized, which basically means they made all Schedule I narcotics legal in Portland. So heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl, crack, all of that shit, completely legal. They say it's decriminalized. But what that meant was if you were seen smoking methamphetamine or fentanyl or crack on the side of the street and a cop came up to you, he would go, hey, you can't do that. Would you like to go to jail or would you like for me to write you this ticket that says that you can go to drug treatment? And clearly the person would say, well, I want to go to drug treatment. And they would go, great. And they would give them this little voucher. The voucher got you 1 free visit to drug treatment. However, there was no tracking of it. So like there was nothing that said you had to take this ticket to a certain location and give it to them. And if you didn't, they would come get you and put you in jail. It was just like everything else in Portland. It's just all bullshit. Now, I have a theory. I don't want to get into it on video because I'll probably come up missing, but we live in a city that has multiple ports where, you know, shipping containers from all over the world come into the area. We have a high number of cartel, a high number of foreign nationals that are in this area. At the time, we had a police department that wasn't making arrests, wasn't making traffic stops, wasn't doing any sort of, you know, crime deterrence. And somehow, all of these homeless people that had, the number of homeless people increased by like 65%. They all are getting government funded assistance. They're all getting handed out drug paraphernalia from nonprofits and city-funded locations. So the usage of drugs were illegal, but the transportation, exportation, and distribution of drugs is still illegal. However, there was no arrest in terms of the people that were bringing in the drugs or distributing the drugs. I think that if you have a 6th grade education, you can probably draw lines and parallels between, well, let me just stop. So yeah, as of today, supposedly drugs are recriminalized. Now here's the problem. We live in a city where everything is a system. It's like a flow chart. So if drugs are recriminalized, that means the police have to interact with the people that are doing drugs. On a large scale, that's not happening. Let's say that it does happen. Let's just say that a police officer stops a homeless person. I'm literally looking at people doing drugs right now. A police officer interacts with that homeless person and decides, you're doing drugs, you're now under arrest. They have to have the ability to do that from their supervisors, which I don't think they have. But let's just say they do. If they take them to the sheriff's department, which is where the jail is, our sheriff does not believe, from what I've been told, and historically this has been the fact, does not believe that people that are on drugs should be criminalized. So if you arrest someone and take them to jail, the sheriff has the discretion to say, I'm not going to jail them for that. I don't think that that's an arrestable offense. You can go. Historically, if the sheriff did say, I'm going to put you in jail, then the district attorney could easily say, I don't agree with that. You're an oppressed minority because you're a drug addict. So therefore, I don't believe in the system being punitive to people who are suffering from an illness. Your drug usage is an illness. Therefore, I'm not going to prosecute. So you can go. And then above all of that, you have the voters of Portland, Multnomah County, and Oregon that say, we don't think that people who suffer from drug addiction, mental illness, or homelessness should be criminalized. Therefore, we vote for things like repealing the illegal nature of drugs. It's all one hand throwing the liability to the other hand. I just gave you a very long, drawn-out answer, but I think that you have to give context to these things because people that don't live here, they don't understand. There's so many moving parts, from the government side to the people that live here side, to the nonprofits, to law enforcement, to the legislative side, to the legal side. It's all tied together. It's all tied together. But again, I have a theory as to why this all happens, but I'm not going to say it on camera. I think it's great that they're repealing it and they're making it legal, but they're not going to do anything. Just like they made a law back in July where they were like, it's now illegal to camp on the street. So the big issue in Portland is that we have homeless encampments everywhere. Homeless people on the sidewalk, homeless people in front of buildings, homeless people in people's yards, homeless people in RVs, homeless. And they go, okay, we're going to make it illegal to be on the sidewalk. And they said from the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., it is now illegal to be camping, sleeping, loitering on public sidewalks or in front of businesses. They arrested a guy, I think it was last month, the first guy to ever be arrested under this new law that it's now illegal. So apparently, like, they have to make contact with you. If you're a homeless person, they make contact with you and they go, sir, you cannot be camping in this area. Would you like services? We can take. I don't know if my video was still, yeah, right, exactly. See? 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 I told you. The second that I start talking, here we go. All right, I'm going to keep going if we have audio. So here's the deal. The minute that I start talking some real shit, you see what happens here, right? Okay, so forget the video part. Just listen to the audio. Here we go. So they arrested the guy, and then they have to offer services. So they go, we're going to give you services, or we're going to take you to a shelter. And if the person refuses, then they can arrest him. They arrested the guy, took him to the jail, and the sheriff said, I don't think that we should be criminalizing people that are suffering from homelessness, and they let the guy go. So what do you think that that does to the rest of the people that are in that same situation? So now if, you know, a police officer goes up to another homeless person, that homeless person is very well aware, because this was all over the news, that they don't have to listen to him, right? And then from the law enforcement standpoint, you're like, why would I even waste my time if they're not going to do anything? You know what I mean? And it's like this for everything. It's like this for homelessness. It's like this for drugs. It's like this for crime. This attitude of just lying to the public that they're going to do something, when good and well they know that they are complicit in everything that's happening. So it's no surprise. Well, apparently I struck a nerve on YouTube, and I started talking about some real shit, and they cut me off. So I'm gonna head to the gym and get my workout in. I appreciate all you guys. Let me see if I have any comments on here. I don't have anything right now. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I can't stand it when they fucking cut my feed, but it is what it is. Y'all have a great day.